Howdy, boys and girls, and welcome back to the Carla and Crappy Show. We are down to really just a handful of bowl games, including the Gator Bowl, which is on now as we tape on Thursday. I'd forgotten the days of the week were an actual thing. So today is Thursday. I'm told January 2nd.
Yes.
We just literally a couple hours ago finished watching the Sugar Bowl, which was postponed a day because of the that awful thing on Bourbon Street that happened on New Year's Eve. But we're down to it here. We have a few bowl games, none of which we're going to talk about, and we have semifinal games, and then we have the title game, and we'll address that one later. We did have a mess of bowl games between when we taped last, which I think was December 27th, and today. So again, my question to you guys as we look back to what got us to this point, give me a bowl thing, as in a non-playoff thing, and a playoff thing or things, that you noticed in the since the last time we spoke. AJ, go ahead.
I feel like all bowl games need to emulate the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Just
Okay.
go all of the way in. Do not half-ass it. Build your own lore, really. Because that's what the Pop-Tarts Bowl did. They leaned in so incredibly hard. And if you haven't, the Sickos Committee, a wonderful Twitter follow, Blue Sky follow, and also podcast. They sent two people to the Pop-Tarts Bowl because they live in the general Florida, Orlando area.
Okay.
And they have become very, very good friends with the Pop-Tarts Bowl. And Pop-Tarts is in on this. It's not the bowl pushing this. It is Kellanova, which, by the way, they did. Kellogg's is now owned, and they merged in something or other, and now they're Kellanova.
Kellanova,
But
fine.
it's telenovela. It's fine. Porque. And the company has fully leaned in. They're trying to build lore. Like, Mouth Heaven is real. That is a real statement. That is where Strawberry went, who they resurrected.
Yes.
Utilizing a photo from the Sickos Committee. The picture of the eaten Pop-Tart was taken by the Sickos Committee, posted to the internet. We all saw it with the eye and everything. And then they used that as the basis for the zombie. They are zombies canonically. Pop-Tarts. All of what I'm saying has nothing to do with football. However,
Yes.
if we look forward, I don't want to skip over the national title. It is all very, very important. But the very first game of the season is played where?
In Charlotte.
It's not
Or
in
in
Charlotte.
Orlando.
It's not in Orlando. It's in Dublin, Ireland.
Oh, right.
And playing in the game is Iowa State and Kansas State, the two winners of the Pop-Tarts Bowls. We have Farmageddon, Pop-Tarts dominance, supremacy.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
how did that happen? That's really
I don't know how this game happened, but we're all thankful for it.
Okay.
And
Yes.
they should all
Absolutely.
lean in and just go as hard as they do. And the other bowls
agree.
that are silly like this, like the Mayo Bowl and the Cheez-It Bowl, all support. Cheez-It Bowl's owned by the Pop-Tart, the same company that owns Pop-Tarts Bowl. But the Duke's Mayo Bowl has been very supportive of the Pop-Tarts Bowl, like lean in on the silly, be stupid.
Yes.
It's fine. This is the purpose of bowl season. It's not. Nobody's taking this that seriously, and if you do, you're Shane Beamer. So
do you have any football related thoughts of the bowl games or playoff games or any?
I feel like
It's okay
the
to say
31st.
no.
I feel like the 31st, like New Year's Eve, was great.
It was.
Like
It
there
was.
was just a lot of
good
good,
day.
just a lot of good football being played on a day when a lot of people were just like waiting for New Year's to happen. So that was actually pretty good. Carla probably has more to say about the actual football angles of those things.
Well, there were a bunch of football games on New Year's Eve day. including one near and dear to Carla's heart. What? Give me a bowl game thing, and then give me a playoff thing.
So, bowl game thing, the Alamo Bowl. The Mormons apparently love San Antonio,
Yeah.
because that was a heck of a performance.
Hmm. Hmm.
By BYU on all facets. I got to see a good chunk of that game, so I was very impressed by BYU's win. And then right after that, yes, I stayed up to watch Army
Yes.
absolutely annihilate Louisiana Tech, which was not surprising. I mean, we
Right.
we all
Right.
imagined that that was going to happen, but man, Army looked good. And it was good to see them go out on a high note like that.
Hmm.
After their remarkable season. Lots of fun stuff. The thing that AJ mentioned about the Pop-Tarts Bowl, like, yes, everybody should lean in. But what made this year's Pop-Tarts Bowl even better was the fact that, like, the game was actually good too.
It was.
And when you get that mix of a really good football game
Mhm.
with all of the ridiculousness happening, like that was kind of like the utopia of Boldom, I guess, at that point. Um,
Okay.
so so I'm all in on that. And yeah, the Cheez-It Bowl was just absolutely ridiculous. There was a wedding.
There was,
Um,
yes.
there was an
Yep.
actual wedding that happened
Orange,
that was
orange
officiated by a
tuxedo.
Cheez-It.
Yes.
And I saw lots of posts of like, if your wedding is officiated by a Cheez-It, is it legal? And all that kind of fun stuff. There was at one point the Cheez-It was like attached to a bungee wire or something,
Mhm.
Yep.
and they like elevated it in between the goalposts. I don't know. It was
He was kicked
ridiculous.
as a field goal.
It was, yeah,
There
it
was,
was a
yeah,
field goal.
there was a guy on the field who like pantomimes kicking him, and then he goes flying through the air through the goalposts, which
Gotcha.
was the correct thing to do. Also, where are you, Prince Chedward? I miss you.
Yes.
We've gotten Ched Z for the
Mhm.
last 2 or 3 years. Where are you, Prince Chedward? I need you to come back. You've abdicated the throne.
Maybe Prince Chedward is hanging out with Strawberry Pop Tart.
Do we think he's dead?
I don't know.
Does Prince
He's
Ched?
been
Ooh,
gone for a long time.
much to
What I want to
consider.
know is whose lore is going to be more robust by the time we are all said and done, Fansville or the Pop-Tarts Bowl?
Fansville, I feel like has the ability to go longer term with their lore. They're already
I
like
think so.
5 or 6 years deep on
Yes.
the lore.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think the Pop Tarts Bowl, they do want to have like 15 Pop Tarts in the upper deck in
Hmm.
Mouth Heaven. They
Hmm.
really do want to have that. So just tremendous work all the way around.
Also, did I hear that correctly that when the selection was made for it to be the cinnamon roll, that the like his team that the his teammates booed because
A little
he
bit.
didn't
I
they didn't
heard
want
some
that
booze.
flavor?
I heard
Yeah.
some booze.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was a touch of booze, and that's just showing you how much these players care
They
It's
do.
about
true.
which one they were going to get.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They were engaged. They were involved. They understood that that is the thing that is at stake for the Pop Tart Bowl, and that's they wanted to go well. Um, any thoughts, Carla, about playoff games, playoffs that have occurred between last December 27th and today?
So I have to I have to raise my glass
Two.
to Cam Skattebo.
Yeah.
What what a gutty performance. And deservedly so, the MVP of the Peach Bowl.
Hmm.
And if you haven't gone back, like, go try to find him being awarded the MVP in the post game presser, because that's where they had to do it because they were off the field.
Yeah.
And he accepts the trophy and thanks the media and says, "Everybody have a safe flight home." Like, that's just the kind of kid that he is.
Hmm.
And yeah, he talks smack, but he plays for Arizona State, right? Like, he's trying to, like, he's got to
Yeah.
do something to get attention. And man, he all got our attention on New Year's Day, and he alone put the team on his shoulders
Hmm.
and tried to win that dang football game and almost did it.
Hmm.
Almost did it. And I would not have predicted the Peach Bowl to be the most entertaining of the four games.
Right.
But it sure as heck was. So, and that tips to Cam. Hell of a season, and he's back next year, so we'll see.
The play where
Yeah.
where his helmet came off,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
he sneered at the crowd.
I know.
Oof. Chills, actual chills. It was the meanest thing I've ever seen, and like every part of it was like, I'm doing this. I am that dude, and oh man, I wanted him to win. I wanted Arizona State to win so badly,
Mhm.
and they put Texas in absolute hell
Yes.
for quite a while in that game.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Well, compressed into the mostly into the second half. The first half was all Longhorns. And actually, just uh, to go out of order, I posted to our text thread when Skattebo was kind of throwing tantrums on the sideline early in the game when Arizona State could get nothing going. I'm like, I am not impressed here. I was also wrong. I was also wrong. To finish that game with almost 250 yards of total offense
Yeah.
is insane. And it ain't bragging if you back it up. So and he absolutely did. So give him and the Sun Devils a ton of credit for making that an incredible game. My bowl game thing, AJ, as you mentioned, everybody knows that Bert is a jerk. Everyone knows this. If you've been in the Big Ten and watching the Big Ten for a long time, you are aware of the grandstanding stuff that he has done in games, off season, every chance he gets, he tries to get in your head. Everyone is aware of this, except perhaps for Shane Beamer.
Shane ain't built for that.
Um,
Shane
I
got
give
cooked.
I give Shane credit for being an emotional guy, for carrying, but he totally let Bert get in his head, and it's not good. It is that was the as much fun as the Cheez-It Bowl was with all the promotional stuff going on. Um, that was awfully entertaining. To she Shane have to be restrained um, by his own coaching staff and hauled back to the sideline.
See Shane restrained on the sideline. Say that 5 times fast,
I
and
I'm not gonna
it
do that.
was it was amazing because at one point the replay caught this, and they didn't no one ever came back to it. But at one
Mhm.
point, like I think it was South Carolina's last touchdown, they score,
Mhm.
and normally the coach is like, "Get off the field, we're going for one or whatever,"
Yeah,
right?
we'll go finger.
Shane Beamer is looking dead across the field at Bielema.
Mhm.
He is not paying attention to anything that's happening on the field. He is looking at Bielema, and you can clearly see him mouth out the words "F you"
Mhm.
directly at Bielema. It is hilarious because Shane,
I,
you are not built for that, my dude.
no,
You're not.
no.
Mm-mm.
um,
And
yeah, and we mentioned that we've mentioned several times that Bird is the next offensive lineman. He has only gotten larger
yeah,
as he
he
has
didn't get smaller.
gone into his gone through his coaching career.
It was all that bulking up he had to do in Wisconsin to stay warm.
He did. It was the availability of Southern cuisine, I think, because that's he went from like 2x to 4x when he was the head coach at Arkansas. Um, maybe some Midwestern cooking will kind of help him slim down, but it hasn't happened so far. But anyway,
What do we think an
that's fine.
Arkansas hot dish is?
Hmm.
What is it like? Is it like
I mean,
ribs in
it's
hot dish?
Fried
A
chicken,
rib based casserole?
fried
I
chicken.
would think
Mm.
it could be that. I'm not sure how the Razorbacks get around it's the commercial with the guy that brings the roast duck to an Oregon tailgate party. I'm not sure how folks in Arkansas get around not eating the mascot. Um, it
They go
seems like
beef.
it's
They got to go hard on beef then,
I would think, but
especially horns down. You know,
yeah, yeah,
like
that's true. That's true.
from their Big Eight time, they were
Hmm.
absolutely eating cow.
Hmm. Hmm.
Brisket.
Um,
Hold on.
okay, we're gonna. It's like
AJ's going to
what is
Google.
the
No,
barbecue
I'm gonna go.
staple?
No, I'm gonna go ask some folks. Hold on.
Okay, okay.
I'm gonna go ask the internet.
Um, so anyway, I mean it has the quarterfinal games. Um, the Peach Bowl was super entertaining. We got fairly comfortable wins. I know Carla, you would might quibble with play calling
Just a
in
bit.
your game just a little. Um, I got another fast start, which made me happy. Um, So we are down to the two semifinal games. And that's what we are going to talk about here. Um, to start with, on Thursday, there's those days of the week again. Thursday, January 9th, the Capital One Orange Bowl in lovely Miami, Florida, or thereabouts, 7:30 p.m. on ESPN. That's both of these games are. Number seven, these are playoff seeds. Number seven, Notre Dame versus number six, Penn State. The line stuff is brand new.
Yeah.
And I probably should double check before I even say these things out loud. Notre Dame was favored by a point and a half. I did notice the AJ Fun Index opened at 44 and a half. It is now 46 and a half, or it was when I assembled these notes. What is it now?
No,
What
I'm saying hammer that under,
hammer?
baby.
Okay, yeah, that's
we're
yeah.
we are getting a 21-20 game at best.
Yeah.
I'm
That would
sorry to
be
give away my pick.
that would be that would be miraculous. To hit the over there. Uh, One of us has a rooting interest in this game, and we're going to let her get the last word on it. AJ, we're going to let you go first. The Orange Bowl, Notre Dame and Penn State. How's this going to go?
As much as I thought the Georgia Notre Dame game was going to be a rock fight,
Mhm.
and it was,
Mhm.
I expect another one, like an orange fight. Like imagine a bunch of oranges go into a sock, and then both teams are just going to start
Okay.
swinging them around.
Okay.
Both of these teams play hard nose football. They both want to run the dang ball.
Mhm.
And Penn State, for all of the hype about Genty, everybody forgot about Katron Allen and Nick Singletary.
Mhm.
Yep.
Like they are good. Those are two great running backs, and they are fully capable of ripping off 7 to 8 yards of carry, no problem. And when one of them's not getting 7 to 8 yards of carry, the other one will.
Yeah.
It just happens. I noticed, especially against Boise, that I think it was Singleton for a good long while was like getting like 2 to 3, and Katron was just carving them for 8 or 9 at 8 or 9 at a pace. So I see this game be coming down fully to who can run the dang ball.
Mhm.
You have Drew Aller and Riley Leonard, two teams that or two quarterbacks that I don't think anybody is checking for their arms, right? I think Drew Aller is a better quarterback. He is
Mhm.
fully capable of hitting a deep ball. He is fully capable of throwing them deep. Riley Leonard doesn't do that.
Yep.
He had a few throws in the Sugar Bowl that went deep. He doesn't really have the accuracy. They're not aiming for something super. They're aiming for like 15 yards max.
Mhm.
Drew Aller can hit a 40-yard bomb. That's, I think, the big difference here. Both of these defenses will stop the run. Both of these defenses are very good. This is going to come down to this is a real Big Ten game of wills type of thing.
Yep.
As Ryan Nanny said on Blue Sky, this is a real smoking cigarettes in a 1980s restaurant game.
Yeah.
Like this game should not be played in HD.
Mhm.
This game should be played in standard def. This should not be higher than 480p.
Black and
You
white?
should
Black and white?
no, no,
No?
no, no,
Okay.
no, 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 no,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
This should not even be widescreen. I need black bars on the side of this game. This game is going to take us
Okay.
back to 1988.
Okay.
Find your nearest Pizza Hut classic and go there to watch this game
Very good.
because this is an old school football game. I'm super excited for this one.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna go ahead and pick Penn State here. I think
Okay.
Penn State has more offensive capabilities.
Mhm.
Notre Dame is going to have to rely on the run to get it done.
Mhm.
I think Penn State is capable of stopping the run. They shut Ashton Genty fully down
Yep.
and made Maddox Madsen beat them. I think they're going to run the same game plan back against Notre Dame. They're going to try and make Riley Leonard beat them. Riley Leonard offers more in the running game than Madsen did.
Mhm.
And I think that's what's going to make this a little bit different. But I expect Penn State to win. But in a real 21-20, Carly, you're about to have a very uncomfortable Thursday night.
Yeah, uncomfortable.
Sorry.
It's uncomfortable Thursday night. The Sugar Bowl that we just watched, I think, is fairly easy to decipher two really, really good defenses in Notre Dame and Georgia against two offenses that, for whatever reason, not so great. They both want to run the ball. And this is going to sound familiar. Uh, Georgia's a little hamstrung at quarterback, obviously, and it showed. Although Gunner was able to hit a couple deep passes, um, nothing really of consequence. And Notre Dame's defense really shut down the Bulldogs. That's not what you have when you plug Penn State into this equation. Um, that is a fully functioning offense. Um, we can debate whether or not Drew Aller is NFL caliber. I did read that in the game against Boise, he actually had his longest completion yardage average of the season. And that is a really good sign for him and for Penn State's offense. And that's the kind of thing that they're going to have to do against a really good Irish defense. Um, I would give Notre Dame, and we saw this in the Sugar Bowl. I would give Notre Dame um, uh, an advantage in special teams. That there was a couple of great calls. There was the kickoff return for a touchdown. Um, that may be the only place that I would give the Irish the advantage, though. Um, when Notre Dame has the ball, the play will be simple. AJ, you said it, shut down the run game like they did to Ashton Genty. They made Boise State one dimensional. And if Riley Leonard has to throw the ball to win the game, the Irish will be in a tough spot. And even tougher if Abdul Carter is able to go. He was hurt in the game against Boise. A couple of ifs for Penn State's offense. Can they keep Notre Dame's pass rush off of Aller? Can the offensive coaching staff show the kind of creativity that is shown on and off um, during the season to keep Notre Dame's defense off balance? Get the ball to the edges, be creative, and you've got the best wild card offensive player in college football. Um, Mash that button. Those things happen. If those things happen, and I think they will, Penn State's going to beat the Irish. Carla,
Yes. Whew.
how's your Thursday afternoon? How's your Thursday evening going to go?
Well, it's going to be chaotic for a number of reasons.
Okay.
One of the biggest of which is obviously this game. You both hit a lot of the buttons that I was going to push here. Offensively, yeah, some strange play calling at certain times, and I think Andy and Jimmy need to kind of get over that
Mhm.
in this game. I know that they're trying to break the big game jinx,
Mhm.
so to speak. And so they are trying to be a little bit more creative, but the timing of those calls, especially when the run game is working so well,
Yeah.
was a little bit head scratching at times, but it was very similar to some of the head scratching we did during the Big Ten title game.
Mhm.
Just it was a very similar kind of very similar situations. I do applaud Drew for not trying to get the ball to Tyler when he wasn't available,
Yeah.
which was an improvement over the last couple of weeks where he's tried to, Tyler's his guy, we know that. But he tried to get the ball to Wallace a couple of times. He hit Wallace a couple of times down the sideline for some relatively big gains. So offensively, yeah, I mean, you smash the Tyler Warren button because, like you mentioned, I think he's the difference here. He's the guy that is really difficult to contain, especially when you're trying to slow down that two-headed running attack,
Mhm.
right? So I think, I mean, Drew and Key, sorry, Nick and Key, they went for 221 on the ground against a pretty good Boise defense. While the Penn State defense held Janty to a buck five or something like that, 105 I think on the ground. So that was the difference in the game.
Mhm.
It was Nick, it was Key, it was Aller's ability to roll out of the pocket. His mobility helped him elude some of that pass rush, which was good, and then look for
Yes.
Tyler Warren across the middle, right?
Mhm.
And if you can keep that momentum going, playing tempo a couple of times because we've seen that out of that Penn State offense to really kind of get them going. I think they can get Notre Dame back on their heels. The thing is, as you both mentioned, Notre Dame's offense not spectacular. They're not the big play offense. They're going to try to run the ball. Riley Leonard had less than 100 yards passing
Hmm.
today
Hmm.
in the Sugar Bowl. But the worry is the Notre Dame defense. They held Trevor to under 40 yards rushing, Trevor Etienne under 40 yards rushing, and they're not like if you look at them statistically, Notre Dame is not a highly ranked defense against the
Right.
run. They're like 45th in the country, statistically. So how much of that was play calling by Kirby and the crew, which it would be a bit of a head scratcher for me. I admit I didn't watch the Sugar Bowl play by play,
Hmm.
um, because it's Thursday and I was doing things. um, but what I was able to catch, so I was looking at the box score and I'm like, how much of that was play calling? Because I don't know, I'm not sure I would have put the entire game on Gunnar Stockton.
Hmm.
And statistically, that's what it looks like
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
And how much of that was the Notre Dame defense, and how much of that was just not smart play calling from I don't know. And that's my fault for not, watching all the game. But um, when I look at this, the difference maker for me is Tyler, and
Hmm.
I think that as long as this doesn't turn into, I'm going to apologize right now for the analogy I'm going to make here. As long as this doesn't turn into a Ryan Day, Michigan situation with Jimmy getting the yips in a big game situation. As
Hmm.
long as that doesn't happen here,
Hmm.
this is a Penn State win. It's not
Okay.
going to be easy. It's going to be a dogfight. I think the score is even lower. I think it's like a 17-14 kind of game.
Okay.
Um, and your difference maker is going to be your two running backs and Tyler Warren, and I think that's what's going to get it done here. As long as the other big thing that you mentioned, the special teams, Penn State's got to be ready for the return game of
Yes.
Notre Dame,
Yes.
because that has been potent all year.
It
Although
has.
special teams has been a challenge for Notre Dame as well on the kicking side of the ball.
Yes.
So we shall see. But yeah, I mean, out of the two teams, Notre Dame was the team that I would rather face, I think.
Hmm.
Although having seen Georgia play today, maybe I would have been a little less wary of that Georgia defense. Um, I mean, they were good, but they gave up some big plays, and their offensive line didn't play great
Hmm.
either.
Hmm.
Um, so I like the matchup, I
Okay.
think.
Okay.
Talk to me in a week to see if I still feel the same way. But I don't want to jinx it, but we might be playing for a national title.
Okay. Okay. I mean, we have to we pick games here on this show, so you gotta pick it. It's not a jinx. There's no jinxing. You gotta make that choice. Um, the following evening, Friday, January 10th, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic in Dallas, Texas, or whatever, wherever the Jerry World is. Uh,
Arlington.
Arlington, thank you. Also, at 7:30 p.m. Also on ESPN. Number 8, Ohio State versus number 5, Texas. Again, these are not lines are not as fresh as Notre Dame Penn State, but currently Ohio State's favored by 6. The AJ Fun Index is 53 and a half, and that has moved a little bit too in the last couple of days. Big deal, but um, AJ, how is this one gonna go? Am I going to have an uncomfortable Friday night?
I think this one is less a rock fight.
Okay.
The question is, how angry is Ohio State still?
Hmm.
I think this is a theory I've been pondering for the last watching the Rose Bowl and also watching the game against Tennessee.
Hmm.
I think, and I'm going to give Michigan full credit here. They broke Ohio State,
Hmm.
full
Sure.
blown Joker villain origin story,
Yes.
because Ohio State has come out and played the most like inspired looking football I've seen from them in probably 3 years.
Hmm. Hmm.
They are hitting everything. They are playing the hits Ohio State was making against Oregon in the Rose Bowl in the first half were mean.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They were, oh, you're trying. No, you're not. You're not doing that. I'm not going to let you do that. It is. All right. For those of you out there who have a potential older or younger sibling, this felt like watching Ohio State play was like watching when younger brother uh, kicks or like injures older brother,
Mhm.
and older brother goes absolutely not, and just goes, oh right, I am 4 years older than you and much stronger, and I'm just going to do this now. And that's what it felt like, what Ohio State did to Oregon. And it it was incredible to watch. And that I think is what is giving me this like, oh, Ohio State's got this now.
Mhm.
Um, Texas getting through Arizona State.
Mhm.
Um, I think they kind of let off the gas in the second half. I don't like this is not, by the way, this is not a shot at Cam Skattebo. I am not slandering Cam Skattebo in the
Mhm.
slightest. That is the people's Heisman, and I will not hear anything other than that.
Mhm.
But I think Texas let off the gas because they were up. It looked like they were cruising. And then the moment anything broke against them, it was over.
Mhm.
Ohio State, you're going to a national championship game and you're winning by a touchdown and a half at least. I do not see Texas having the juice. They do not have the guys who can cover Jeremiah Smith.
Mhm.
They do not have a they don't have the pass rush, I don't think, that is going to break Ohio State's line. I really don't. And Arizona State was able to get to Ewers regularly. Clemson was able to get to Ewers. Quinn Ewers is Arch Manning is going to see the field. That's what I'm saying here.
I wondered about that.
Um,
Yeah.
and that introduces some different things,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but I think Ohio State is going to go in and they're going to go into Texas. By the way, this is in Arlington. That's like wait, Texas is huge. I think that's a 3-hour drive, Austin to Dallas.
It's
But
a home
still,
game.
it's basically a home game for
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah.
And does anybody remember the last time Ohio State was in the Cotton Bowl? Crappy, I know you do.
Um,
They were playing an SEC team.
mhm. Um, Cotton Bowl. Which one was that?
That was the
Was that
Missouri game.
that was yeah, that was last year. That was last
That
year.
was last year.
Yeah.
They went to the Cotton Bowl. They didn't care. They didn't really want to be there. They were on, I think Stroud had already declared for the draft, so he was out.
He was out.
And it
Devin
was
Brown got hurt
Devin
in the
Brown.
first quarter, and Cl Klein Buchholz was that
Yeah.
an accounting major that they threw some shoulder pads on him and tried to win the game with him. So,
And it just didn't work out for them.
no, no.
They are going in full strength and pissed off this time. And I think this is I think we're setting up for an all Big Ten national championship game. And listen, if you guys want to see some real feelings on this show, listening or otherwise, you want to talk about an uncomfortable Saturday afternoon, kids, we're about to have an uncomfortable Monday night later on this month. Print the shirts now.
Jesus.
God bless.
Carla, how do you think the Cotton Bowl is going to go?
I tend to agree with AJ's analysis here.
Mhm.
Texas does not have the dudes to stop Jeremiah Smith. I'm not sure anybody does at
No,
this
no,
point.
nobody does. They're all in the NFL.
Yeah, no, I mean what he did in the Rose Bowl was just unbelievable. And the Ohio State offense was just rolling on all cylinders. And just when you thought that they were going to rely solely on the passing game, then oh hi Trey, um, cutting that big one, and you just knew that like that was it. When Trey broke the big one, you knew that like this game's over.
Mhm.
This game's absolutely over. It was funny listening to the halftime show of the Rose Bowl, where it was Dez, I think, who said like, Reese asked, I think, yeah, Reese asked, how does Oregon come back from this? And Dez was like, "Do you got another playbook?" Like, like
Brett
he was that.
McMurphy tweeted at like in the first half sources. And by the way, I love Brett McMurphy doing bits in the same format that he does regular actual breaking
Yes.
news.
Yes, yes.
And he just said sources, Oregon to change into Michigan's uniform at
Yeah,
halftime
I
just
saw
to
that.
see if that changes anything.
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah. I
that.
mean,
That's
it
good.
was just, like AJ said, it was just, everything they tried didn't work. I will say, I guess I can say you're welcome a little bit for Penn State kind of showing some things in that Oregon defense in the Big Ten title game that they just
Yeah,
couldn't finish,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Yep.
It's particularly the run game. Um, but it was just an unbelievable performance by the Bucks. And I stayed up last night because, the Sugar Bowl was supposed to be on and it wasn't. And so they went into an extended Sports Center after the Rose Bowl and SVP was on. And Scott and I love Scott Van Pelt and he brought up a really good point if you stuck around and listened
Mhm.
longer into the show. Um, on the fact he's like, I don't know if Texas has put together a full game the entire season. And it's a
That may be.
really good point.
Mhm.
Other than maybe they almost put together a full game against Texas A&M at the end of the year.
Mhm.
But they let their foot off the brake or foot off the gas again in the second half, and Texas A&M got back into it, and then Texas woke up again and went, nope, we're going to do this, and slammed it shut. But like, it's a really good point that like this Texas team should be really, really good, and we've seen glimpses of brilliance from the Longhorns this year,
Yeah.
but they have not put together a complete game. And I'm not sure they can do it at this environment, even with a home game in a big time environment with a chance to go play for a national title. I don't believe in Texas right now.
Mhm.
And you better believe that I believe in Ohio State after watching the dismantling they just did of the number one team in the country. Um, you know, Ohio State has to be the favorite to win a national title right now. They have to be. It's not even close, I don't think. I think Ohio State wins this game by 2 scores. I really do. I don't think it's going to be as big of a lot or as lopsided of a win as we've seen in the first 2 rounds. I think Texas will put up a fight. Ha, joke. Texas will put up a
That's
fight
good.
at some
That's good.
point. And make it interesting just
Mhm.
because of the environment playing in Jerry World. Very prominent home field advantage, although we'll see. Ohio State travels well.
True.
Um, and we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, we're setting ourselves up here for one hell of a show in a week and a half or so.
Oh boy.
I might actually have to take over and just host that one and just let
These
you
are
guys talk your
these are
feelings out, really.
things. These are things. Yeah, we're gonna need the therapist. We're not gonna need a host. We're gonna need.
I'm gonna need both of you to change your backgrounds to the like the real lie down chaise lounge. I'm gonna need you to do that.
um, you guys don't know who I'm picking. Um, since the start of the playoffs, since we've gotten into the postseason, there have not been any answers for Ohio State's offense. I think Tennessee actually did a better job of covering Jeremiah Smith in that first game, and he still finished with over 100 yards and 200 and 2 touchdowns. He beat that in the first half against Oregon. Uh, but it's not just him. If you focused on him, you have to account for Emeka Buka and Cornell Tate. G. Scott ripped off that great catch and run on the first possession in the Rose Bowl, and that's before you get to the rushing game, which post Michigan has been inventive, has been great at keeping defenses off balance. It's it is going to be it is a tough thing to deal with. This I think this is overall the best defense that Ohio State has faced, or at least the best potential defense. So that kind of misdirection, getting the ball to the edges, is going to have to happen to keep Will Howard upright. Um, and to keep the kind of balance that Chip Kelly has become comfortable with in the playoff. Um, this is a better offense than the one that Texas saw in the Peach Bowl. And they gave up more than 500 yards in the Peach Bowl. On the other side of the ball, I don't know why, but has kind of Texas sort of discovered a running game in the latter half of the regular season. Don't know where it's gone. Um, but if they make themselves one dimensional, and Quinn Ewers is a great quarterback. He spent his freshman year at Ohio State, and Ohio State had him there for a reason. Um, if Texas is going to try to figure out a running game on Friday, um, Quinn's going to have a rough day. Uh, we Ohio State got to uh, Dylan Gabriel. They sacked him 8 times. I don't know about hurries and pressures. There were a bunch more, and Quinn Ewers is not that mobile. He's had injury problems all season long. Um, that's going to be a tough thing for him. If that is the case, the angry Ohio State. I'm curious about how this is going to go. I'm hopeful that it keeps up. There was a reason against Tennessee. That's the first game post Michigan. A lot of negative attention towards the program, some of which came from me. I talked about that on the show. Um, there's certainly motivation being in the Rose Bowl, avenging a regular season loss against Oregon, motivation there. Does that continue against Texas? If it does, if that emotion is the same, if the execution is the same, um, Ohio State hasn't been tested yet. And if that continues, I'm not going to say this is going to be easy. I'm not going to say that the game's going to be over by halftime, as the two previous playoff games have been. Um, it's and as you guys said, it's a home game for Texas. Uh, that may be the only advantage that they have, and Ohio State's going to win this game. Boys and girls, you can hear the Carla and Crappy Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and a variety of other podcasting hosts. You can watch us on YouTube and or the show's Facebook page. You can read us on our Substack. If you like us, please subscribe, rate, and review. If you don't, mind your own damn business. Be sure to come back next week to see if Carla and I are still speaking. Because all three of us have picked an all Big Ten Penn State versus Ohio State national championship game. This is going to be an interesting situation to deal with. I mean, it's the two teams that we talk about without fail every single week on this program. And I final thoughts. My final thought is, oh man, I want this. I want this game. I I want this game for me and for Carla and for all fans of Big Ten football. Um, Carla, do you have a final thought?
I mean, I want it, but probably not the same way you do.
No,
Um,
you should want it. I mean, you got to get there to have a chance to win.
to have a chance to go play in the game for a national title would be just an absolute dream, and something that we talked about what 2 years ago.
Mhm.
I said circle this year on the calendar because this is the year that everybody's a junior, and here we are. Here
Yeah,
we are exactly where you wanted to be. Potentially playing for with the opportunity to go play for a national title, we hope. But you got to get done against the Irish first. So
yes,
it's
absolutely.
Penn State cannot look ahead. That's probably my final note here is that I know it's exciting. I know it looks like we got a decent matchup here. But absolutely keep your head in this game. You got to
Mhm.
win this one before you can get to the next one.
Absolutely.
Um, and we'll see. The other thing I think that's interesting in a final thought here is that number one and number two are gone. All four teams with a bye lost
Hmm.
in this round,
Hmm.
which is interesting. I think it also goes back to what we talked about last week with the seeding
Yeah.
challenges, and we've already
Yes.
seen conversations that they're going to talk about this in the off season. I wouldn't be stunned to see this change. But even had the seedings changed, I mean, the matchups would have been different. But here you are with essentially three through six,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
In rankings, not in seeds, but in rankings,
Yes.
those are the teams that have moved on. So even with losing the top two teams, um, by ranking, you still have the upper echelon of the teams playing it here. Not that dissimilar from the old 14 playoff, really. So So we'll see how this all plays out. But whew, this weekend's gonna or next week's gonna be real interesting.
Gonna be fun. Gonna be fun. AJ, you you could be stuck as the middleman. In the next show. What final thoughts do you have about how this may or may not go?
I found it super interesting that all of the teams who had buys lost.
Hmm.
There was some discussion that of people who this happened when Major League Baseball's playoff expanded,
Yeah.
that the teams who had buys struggled against
Hmm.
the teams that didn't have buys. This happens in the NFL as well from time to time,
Hmm.
where the divisional winners lose to a wild card team because the wild card team just kind of kept their momentum going and the other team got the week off, but then their schedule cooled off, especially when they're a number one, number two seed and they start resting guys.
Hmm. Hmm.
I find that super interesting. I also find it super interesting that only Texas is the only SEC team to win a playoff game this year.
Yep.
Tennessee lost. Georgia lost. All five conference champions who got automatic berths, all of them lost.
Hmm. Hmm.
I find that one, hilarious. And two, I find it super interesting because all of the home teams, like Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame, they all had home games.
Yeah.
They
True.
all got the like home crowd boost,
Hmm.
and then they went into a neutral site game where even though Georgia is not terribly close to New Orleans, it's a lot closer for them than it was for Notre Dame.
Absolutely.
I think what's going to change with the seeding things. And Carla, you mentioned that there's been some discussions around not just putting the conference champions in the buys, that
Hmm.
giving the top four seeds. The top four seeds this year would have been Oregon, Georgia, Texas, Penn State in that order. So
Hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4. If those teams had gotten the buys, the first round would have been Clemson at Notre Dame,
Right.
Arizona State at Ohio State, SMU at Tennessee, and Boise at Indiana. All of those games would have been great. I think if we just take the way that they performed
Hmm.
into account, like this year, Ohio State and Notre Dame still go through. I
Hmm.
think it would have been closer than what Tennessee put up, but I still think they
Yeah.
get through.
Hmm.
But SMU, Tennessee, Boise, and Indiana, all four of those teams are good, and they would have been playing, I think, teams that are closer in
Yeah. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
capability, and you would have had somebody get through to the next round
Hmm.
to play a Texas, a Penn State, whoever. Now, does Penn State get a big win in the neutral site game instead of having 110,000 people doing full Seven Nation Army at noon in a whiteout game that like amps up everybody on the way to a run? I
Yeah.
think that's the interesting part. I'm interested to see what happens next year too, just to see like, okay, do the home teams get that boost
Hmm.
and the bye teams have problems? And then what do we do about that part?
Yeah.
I think that's the super interesting part of this. But the playoffs have been good. I don't want to hear anybody say, "Oh, these playoffs have been bad." That listen, maybe Oregon and Georgia shouldn't have been in the playoff with the way that they performed.
Hmm.
They just came out and they just laid an egg. Maybe they just shouldn't have been there. They got the 1 and the 2 seed. Did they really deserve it? I don't know.
Hmm.
That's the sort of discussion we could
I
have
know.
if we want to do
Yes.
the same
Yes.
nonsense that we did to SMU and Indiana. But they're
Yes.
Oregon and Georgia, so magically they get in. It's like
Right.
maybe they shouldn't have. I'm I'm super interested to see. By the way, I love the fact that it's Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame.
Hmm.
And it reminds me of the first 14 playoff where you had Ohio State 85 yards to the heart of the South beating Bama, and you had Oregon beating Florida State in the Jameis ghost fumble game,
Yes.
where he goes back to pass and just
Whoop.
the ball just
Hey.
kind of goes back, and Oregon
Where'd
returns
that
it for a
go?
touchdown in the Rose Bowl.
Hmm.
It's giving me that feeling of like, wait, the thing we thought was going to happen, Florida State and Alabama, is not happening at all. And
Nope.
now we get Ohio State and now, oh, okay. It's super interesting. This is giving us an outcome like Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame. One of those four teams is winning a national title.
Hmm.
None of them, other than Ohio State, has been in the national title conversation in like a decade plus.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
hey, maybe we have something new and exciting to talk about instead of, oh,
It's
Alabama won it again or Georgia won it again. That's what I love about this.
it's been fantastic. Even if the games are not what you think they should be, and I think what you just outlined, AJ, with just going straight by straight seeds and determining who gets the home field advantage in the first round and who gets the buys. It's a relatively simple tweak like that. Um, Potentially fixes everything that everyone had to complain about this year. And you got to figure that's I mean, no one's ever going to be completely satisfied. That there are always going to be some teams that are left
Oh,
out. That is just that's just how it is. Yeah,
speaking of everybody being mad about SMU,
please.
anything? Yeah, I'm sure that Alabama went out and just won their bowl game like
Oh
outright,
yeah,
like not
like
even a
they were
question.
gonna.
I definitely, Carla, real quick, did Alabama won the Citrus Bowl, right?
By how much did
By
Alabama
like a
win
lot, right?
the
Well, it
ReliaQuest?
wasn't the Citrus Bowl. It was the ReliaQuest Bowl.
Oh,
ReliaQuest.
that's right. It's the Outback Bowl.
The
Sorry.
Outback Bowl. Yes.
Right.
Sorry. Mhm.
Um, no, they did not.
Who'd they lose to?
That little team up north.
That one?
That one. Yeah.
No.
The
Yeah.
one that they criticized Ohio
No.
State for losing to.
Hmm?
No.
Hmm.
They a good team like Alabama, who definitely deserved to be in the playoff, they wouldn't have lost their game handily, right? Like it
It,
wasn't
it
it
was
wasn't
it
it
was
wasn't in doubt. Like the whole it wasn't out of arm's reach the entire game, right? You know. Hmm.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was kind of.
I guess.
that was a fun day for the Big Ten, by the way.
It was a fun day for the Big
I
Ten.
enjoyed Washington. I did not. I picked Washington to lose the Sun Bowl. They made a game of that, going for
So
two
good.
at the end. Yeah, it was fantastic and as gorgeous as you might remember. But yeah, that was that New Year's Eve day was a terrific day for the Big Ten. Perhaps not so good for the SEC, but yeah,
I
I
just
don't.
need to hear Georgia fan. I need to go ask Georgia fans what it like. Should we take anything into consideration with like a backup quarterback playing in the big game, like you know Florida State had? Like, is it
Yeah.
okay that your team had a really bad performance with it without their starting quarterback,
Mhm.
or are you just making excuses? I'm just like really starting to twist the
We
knobs and the knives on all of the folks for all of the silly discourse that we've had over the last like 12 months. I
Mm,
can't do it anymore, guys.
that
This is
that there
silly.
is that there is the possibility of an all Big Ten national title game is and I know that possibility existed just a couple years ago, but it looks more promising this time, and just that it exists is makes me happy. So we will see how that goes. We will be back to talk whoever is involved. We will be back one more time to talk about the national championship game, scheduled, I believe, for Monday, January 20th. Look at me remembering days of the week and stuff.
You did it.
I know it's like the college football part of my brain is okay. The work part of my brain is like, huh? How do we do this again? Um,
you know the worst part about that
hmm,
being that night?
hmm.
My semester starts the next morning.
Dang.
You should take a day off now.
What
I am
what is your
I
first class? Did you do a terrible thing as a professor and have an 8 a.m. class?
No. My first
Oh, okay.
class on Tuesday is at 11:20.
Oh, you're fine.
That's not bad.
So,
You'll be all
but
right.
You're
still.
You'll be
fine.
all right.
By the way, January 6th on Monday, by the time you're listening to this show,
Should be by then.
hopefully, maybe by then, the FCS national title game, Montana
Yes.
State's North Dakota State, should be an absolute banger. To put that game on your TV on Monday night.
This may or may not be up by Saturday, but I will remind you one more time. D3 title game
That's right.
on the
Yep.
5th. Go watch the Purple Raiders from Mount Union win their 857th Division 3 national championship. It's going to be
Not
fun.
if the North Central Cardinals
Not
have
I
anything
know
to say
if the
about
North
that.
if North Central and North Central's just
They're actually very
destroyed.
good.
They have destroyed teams all year. I haven't seen this, but I'm looking at the schedule. So give some love to D3 football, to FCS. Um, watch all the college football you can because there ain't much left. That's
Mhm.
we get down to this point every year, and we always say that because the end, boys and girls, is near. AJ, thank you very much, and thank you in advance for what could be a very delicate
Mhm.
balance in the final show of the year.
Mhm.
If things work out the way that we believe they will. Carla,
Yes.
I'm again, I am all in. Go Knits. I want to see this happen. I really, really do. I really do.
Even though the matchup for me would be better if we played Texas, to have an all Big Ten final. I mean
Mhm.
that's a dream. It's a dream.
It's fantastic. Cheers.
And cheers to hopefully maybe even getting to watch that semifinal game with you in person. We'll
That's
see.
right.
That could be.
Maybe we'll do that.
That could be.
And if we do, I will be recording Crappy in action.
Oh God.
We'll get little video clips. We'll post
Yeah.
them
Yeah, that'll
of
be.
Crappy watching his football game.
Yeah, the world will get to see. So thank you to both of you guys. Let's really hope it works out the way you want to. And thank you, boys and girls, for everything you do for the show, for listening, for watching, for doing all of the things. Watch these games. Watch all the college football you can. And we'll be back sometime in the very near future to discuss a national championship college football game. Cheers, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, people, yeah, people.